Jalen Carter just had one of the best rookie seasons that we've ever seen for a defensive tackle. He had 50 pressures, 7 sacks, held up well in the run game. He also had a blocked kick and a forced fumble. I think you could make the argument that it's the best rookie season for a defensive lineman in the modern era outside of Aaron Donald, which is the qualifier that you have to add to most all-time defensive line conversations. Statistically, he wasn't just good for a rookie. He was immediately one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. He ranked in the top 15 out of 100 in most of the available stats, and this plot has PFF pass rushing and run defense grade for rookie defensive linemen since 2006. You can see it's the highest pass rushing grade ever. The top 3 actually were rookies in 2023, and he was still comfortably above average as a run defender. And then looking at pass rush win rate, he had the second highest for a defensive tackle since 2006 at 17.0%. It's rare to see a defensive tackle win this consistently as a pass rusher in their first season in the NFL. I didn't have a problem with Will Anderson winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think it was well deserved, but you could have definitely made the argument for Jalen Carter or Kobe Turner as well, who had an outstanding rookie season. He did start off a little bit better than he finished against some pretty weak interior O-lines, but I think he's already on his way to being one of the best players at his position. So the most common pass rushing move for the majority of defensive linemen is going to be the club or the club swim, and Jalen Carter is no different. It's by far his most frequently used move. He spams this move over and over again. It would take the entire video to break down every single rep. Here's a screenshot of my Final Cut Pro timeline with all of the clean, high quality wins with a club from Jalen Carter. He can punish over aggressiveness and overextension pretty much automatically. He's got heavy hands when he strikes the blocker's shoulder. He's quick moving laterally and shifting gaps, and then explosive to get upfield and pursue the quarterback. This first rep from week 1, we got rookie on rookie. City So comes in with an aggressive 2-hand punch, and by leaning all of his weight on this outside foot, he's removing his ability to recover inside through the A-gap, not to mention the fact that he's shifting over to the right in his pass set. So Carter clubs the inside shoulder, gets some serious lateral displacement with his punch, and pries open the A-gap. Mac Jones gets rid of the ball before he can close in, but he forces an early and inaccurate pass. This play against the Rams was one of his best pass rushing reps from the season. He's initially going to attack the right half of the center. His initial steps show that he's rushing through the right side A-gap. Maybe he's the penetrator on a stunt. Once Coleman Shelton thinks he's committed to rushing the right side, he violently clubs the left shoulder. This time he's able to close in and get the sack on Matthew Stafford. Another one here against Seattle. Starts out the play reading the blocker's set. He sees the right guard's aggressive leaning to the outside, so he clubs the inside shoulder, gets a hit on Drew Lock. There are some plays like that where it's more just reading and reacting to what the blocker gives him, but I also thought he did a great job of using his initial steps to set up his club move. This play is lined up at a zero technique right over the center. He starts out rushing the blocker's left shoulder to get him to pass set to the left, and then when he throws up the inside hand punch, Carter clubs the same shoulder, uses the arm over to get into the backfield. This play against the Dolphins, he's initially rushing the B gap. He gets a left side set, aggressive 2-hand punch. Once the blocker throws his punch, he redirects, clubs the inside shoulder, accelerates through the A gap. Another one here against the Giants. Initial steps attack the B gap, gets the blocker to commit, and then counters inside through the A gap. You'll also see him stack multiple clubs together in the same play. Sometimes it looks purposeful, other times it's to counter when his first move fails. This play against the Dolphins, Liam Eichenberg does a good job of staying centered to the block initially. He lands an early 2-hand punch, has the grip strength to stay connected through the first club, and does a good job of sliding his feet, but then Jalen Carter clubs the other shoulder once Eichenberg inevitably starts leaning in one direction. At that point, he's able to knock him on the ground, and he's got an open runway to the quarterback. This play, he goes outside first step, inside club, doesn't really commit to it, and then he comes back with the offhand and clubs the outside shoulder. If he just accelerated directly to the quarterback the moment that he wins the edge, he would have had a sack. Sam Howell looks like he's about to get rid of the ball, so Jalen Carter goes up to bat the pass, but he tucks it, the blocker has time to recover, and Sam Howell escapes the pocket. So that's definitely the move he uses most often, but Jalen Carter was able to win as a power rusher a lot more than you usually see for rookie defensive linemen. A lot of rookies might have a few good reps with their bull rush, but it's not consistently effective. Jalen Carter had those dominant reps, but he was able to consistently push the pocket and win with his bull rush snap after snap. This play, Isaiah Wynn is a little high with his 2-hand punch. Carter gets underneath him, opens up the inside shoulder, and puts him on his back. This play, he drives the Cowboys center Tyler Biadasz back into the pocket. Dak Prescott eventually escapes and gets a touchdown, down, but you need better contain responsibility on the right side. I think his matchups against Tyler Smith were some of the best O-line, D-line back and forth matchups from this past season. They had a good amount of one-on-one pass rushing reps, and I think it came out pretty even. They both had some decisive wins and losses, but Carter was able to beat Tyler Smith several times with his bull rush in each of their matchups, and I think the play strength and explosive power that Jalen Carter showed as a rookie was probably the most impressive aspect of his game. This rep's against one of the best left guards in the NFL, Joe Thuney. He wins early leverage, gets underneath his pads, outstanding leg drive here. You see the choppy steps to continue to displace the pocket. Eventually, he's able to create enough lift and uproot the blocker, open up the A-gap. So we'll get into areas that he can improve in every aspect as a pass rusher, but the fact that his bull rush was this consistently effective as a rookie has me really optimistic for his development going forward. It's only going to get more potent as his career goes on and he continues to add play strength. I think the next step for Jalen Carter as a pass rusher is adding one more move that he can consistently win with. In my opinion, you need a slightly smaller pass rushing bag as a defensive tackle than you do out on the edge, but ideally you can win with power. I think that's non-negotiable, and then you have one go-to move and a counter off of that. Carter has the bull rush, which, like I said, I think is going to continue to improve. He's got the club and the club swim as his primary. I think to complete his skill set, you want him to add a third move that pairs well with his club, and he did try out a couple other moves occasionally. I would say like 1 to 3 snaps per game, he would try out either a double swipe or a spin off of his club move. This play, he uses a double swipe to beat Tyler Smith's outside hand. Really impressive bend at the top of the rush here. I wouldn't even say he cleanly wins the edge here. Tyler Smith does a decent job of recovering, but he's able to turn the corner at the top. Not sure if he actually gets credited for a sack here, but definitely played a role in it. But this wasn't something he was consistently able to win with. He tries it again right here against Tyler Smith. Smith uses an early outside hand strike, but he's pretty soft throwing this outside hand. By that, I mean when Jalen Carter swipes it down, it's not like pulling the rug out from underneath him. He's ready to retreat with the outside hand and then replace with a two-hand punch and lock him up. And as we go through some of his pass rushing losses, you're going to see a very consistent issue with Jalen Carter, probably the one true weakness that he has as a pass rusher, and that is balance. There's so much forward lean with Jalen Carter as a pass rusher. Every play, he's full throttle upfield. His upper body has a steep overhang ahead of his base, and smart, skilled blockers can counter that and neutralize him. Here's another play where he tries to double swipe the outside hand. His biggest issue here is that he just misses with his swipe, ends up hitting the face mask. So the guard still has that outside hand activated to stall the rush. Carter loses balance at the top and gets put on the ground. I also saw him use a spin move a few times. This play against the Patriots from week 1, he uses an outside spin to counter off of his club move. Initially, he clubs the inside shoulder. The blocker tries to land a two-hand punch. Carter tries to spin out of it, but the spin move isn't very fluid or efficient, so he doesn't cover much ground, but he's still able to transition to power and get a hit on the quarterback, so good job there. And he tried it again here against Washington. His feet get tangled up with the guard and they just both go to the ground. So that'll be one of the big things to look for heading into year 2 is how much he's able to diversify his pass rushing plan and just add different methods of winning and getting to the quarterback. And I think he has room to improve his bull rush also. I mentioned the forward lean and the lack of balance. Power rushing is the main phase where you see that show up. Every pass rushing rep ends up as either a win, loss, or draw, and most plays around the league end up as a draw or a stalemate, but I think Jalen Carter had as many defined wins and losses as anyone in 2023. There are a ton of examples of him winning with his bull rush, but if he doesn't win, it seems like half the time it's a decisive loss where he ends up on the ground, not a member of the pass rush on that play. And the reason for that is because he leans so far forward every time he initiates the bull rush because he's trying to create knockback on initial contact, but his head and torso are so far out from the rest of his body, it makes him really easy to just take a hop step back and snatch trap him into the ground. This strategy of leaning so far forward did probably allow him to win a lot more often in his rookie season, but ultimately it made him a very boom bust power rusher that ended up on the ground too often. Some of these reps that I'm showing, it's like all you have to do is know that this is how he plays heading into the game, and then once you start to feel that bull rush, establish some space, slam him on the ground. So ideally what happens with Jalen Carter is that he develops his play strength so he can have a consistently effective bull rush without so much forward lean and overextension. I expect that to happen, and he's far ahead of the curve compared to most rookies, but he's also one of the most talented defensive tackle prospects we've seen, so I think it's fair to hold him to a high standard. Now, pass rushing is definitely the phase where he's going to add the most value, but he's not a bad run defender by any means. The best thing he brings to the table as a run defender is his quick hand usage to slip around blocks. The club swim that he has so much success with as a pass rusher, he uses that a lot in the run game. This play, the guard lowers his head into the block fit, so he strikes the outside shoulder, sends him downfield, and makes the stop. On this play, Miami's right tackle Austin Jackson gets an early jump on the snap, so he actually ends up too far inside. Carter's able to quickly swim into the backfield, force Tua to make a business decision. He also had some impressive reps anchoring or splitting double teams. As with pass rushing, he'll benefit from improving his play strength, but I don't think he was bad at all as a rookie at holding the point of attack. He had a few losses in the run game. I'll hit you with another screenshot of my Final Cut Pro timeline, but I found 6 truly bad run defense reps from Jalen Carter. This play, he doesn't seem to be anticipating the second block in the combo, and he gets transported out of his gap. Right here, Luke Gadecki puts him on the ground on this backside cutoff. He let Kevin Dotson get his hands inside and drive him backwards on this play, and then there were a few reach blocks and overtake combos on outside zone where he got turned around or just reached on the backside of the play. So it's not as dominant as his pass rushing, but I still think he was an above average run defender league-wide as a rookie. Going forward, my expectation for Jalen Carter is at the minimum, he will be a tier 2 defensive tackle. Now that Aaron Donald's gone, I see tier 1 as Chris Jones and Dexter Lawrence, and then there's a huge cluster of defensive tackles that I consider tier 2, players that would be very difficult to rank, from Quinnen Williams to Derek Brown, Jeffrey Simmons, DeForest Buckner, Vita Vea, Cam Hayward more on the back end of his career, and then kind of lower end of that tier, you've got guys like Justin Matabike, Kenny Clark. In 2024, I confidently expect Jalen Carter to be in that tier at the minimum. He was honestly in that tier as a rookie, but eventually I think he has the upside to be one of the best defensive tackles to ever play.